thing. Oh, also I call them my Wonderlust Coven because that's...
I mean, I love Wonderlust.
Well, it's wonder with an O.
Oh.
Because it's, instead of Wanderlust, it's like Wonderlust.
Yes.
That's how I'm going to explain it to people. Wonderlust.
You've got a lust for wondering, for curiosity.
Exactly.
Curiosity lust, but like
classier.
More classier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Wonderlust Coven. I'm Olivia and I am the Witch of Wonderlust. Today I'm with a Coven mate, Carlos. He's super knowledgeable. He makes a lot of really amazing products. I'll leave everything link in description. Carlos, tell us a little bit about like what you practice and how long you've been practicing and what you use and all that.
Yeah, like she said, I'm Carlos. Online, Instagram, Tumblr. Tumblr's really where like my public, which Sona, all that kind of just like blew up. It's been crazy. Like since that happened, that's when I actually started making stuff for other people.
Right. Because
I was like, oh, like I did this thing, and everyone was like, I want that thing. Like, talk to me about it. So online, I'm Barber Witch.
Link.
And I have to fight like everywhere to get that because actual barbers want it, and I put Barber Witch because I am also a hairstylist, and because online is so anonymous and I wasn't posting pictures of myself, I was like tired of people calling me a she, so I'm gonna say barber instead of hair witch, because hair witch everyone will just think that like my name's Susan. Barber Witch, all that. I've been practicing on and off for 14 years.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
That's literally like double is how long I've been practicing.
It's also like over half my life now. Like I got so excited last year when I was 26, and then I had my 13th year of witchcraft. And then
you were like, dance naked in the woods!
I was like, yes! No, but it was super good. I mean, I've had my ups and downs. When you've been practicing for this long, I mean, there are definitely times when, yeah, your practice can be something that's so helpful and it helps you get through so much, but, you know, sometimes you need to, like, just pump the brakes and be like, I need to focus on, you know, actually coming out as gay instead of like doing another spell, and it's like I need to like focus on getting into college and high school instead of like people thinking I'm fucking Harry Potter. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah. You can. And what's funny is like a lot of the time, like my other videos, I cuss all the time, and like only some of them do I even like try to censor, because more of like for like a humor thing. It's not even because he already knows that I'm saying fuck, but it's not like. So we're drinking a look at it. We're drinking a vintage Earl Grey. It's actually from the Mystic Museum. I don't know if they hold it anymore, but Speak Teasy, I think. It's something like that. It's something cute like that. I'll link it because you know I will. And also, I really want cream.
So yeah, I mean, I've been, like I said, I've had my ups and downs, like every actual person will, just because life is life, and humans and all that stuff. And you know, my practice has changed a lot. You know, when I first began, it was all there was like you know, a faint whiff of Wicca to everything I did.
Yes.
So like I like that they can be witches, and this makes sense to me, but I don't get the triple goddess. I don't get the oak and holly king, and
But I mean, like, it's just like a thing that resonates with some people and resonates with like it doesn't resonate with other people.
And I never pursued it because, you know, I was cradle Catholic, went to Catholic school from...
Does that sound familiar, my friends?
Catholics make the best witches.
Okay, but this is what... Rant. This is what I try to tell people all the time. Christians are harder because they're not Catholics. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it's like, Catholicism is so witchy. Like, it's it's literally like everything... like the 7-day...
Like, girl, I got you.
But it's like...
And there's so much crossover that people don't even realize.
I know.
Like, my pet peeve isn't, people are like, Catholicism isn't witchy. My pet peeve is Christians can't be witches. And I'm like, first of all, not your place, not your life. Stay in your lane, Rebecca. I mean, honestly, when you look at stereotypical witchcraft, there's so many different kinds. There's like crazy bent neck, hobgoblin-y, like crone in the woods. Exactly. And like everyone's scared to talk to her except everyone who needs like a love spell, or little Jimmy, we've said 12 masses for him and nothing's happened, and she's like, oh, here, and gives him some salve, and all of a sudden his like leprosy is cleared up. But and then there's the other stereotype, which is really a lot of like ceremonial magic. There's the robes, there's like the secret chanting, the chanting done in Latin, the dark rooms, the candles, smoke is all in the air. It's like a musical because everyone in the room knows what to say, when to say it.
Yes. Everybody's on beat somehow.
Mm-hmm.
How?
Yeah.
I've never.
Beyonce, always on beat.
Yeah. Get with it, Coven.
Yeah. That I just described a mass. You got the priest in their robe. The robes are symbolic. They help them get through it. People talk about sympathetic magic, and that's, the transubstantiation. This is my body, and it's, really terrible wafers that give you like horrible breath afterwards. And it's like, this is my blood, and it's like $2 chuck.
Yeah.
Which
terrible.
is now like $4 chuck.
Well, it was grape juice when I wasn't legal to drink, so they would.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I went to
At the time, I wasn't legal to drink.
Okay, so I was at super Catholic school. I was at a
Oh, they gave you wine.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
No.
They were like, it's for Jesus, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I know it's like just a little.
Well, yeah, I mean that's like it was like a huge church compared to like some smaller ones, and like the whole school would go to church. Okay, bitch, this wine has to go through the whole school, and we're only gonna use we're using one bottle. To get kindergarten through 8th grade, all the faculty.
Oh my god.
So
there's like 3 tiddlywinks in every like plastic little cup they hand out.
Oh no, it was also like it was a hotbed for mono, I'm really glad it wasn't, in high school. Yeah, I went to Catholic high school too, but me being the lovely pagan that I was like breaking all the rules. I went to all boys private Catholic school, and then gay.
That you thought you were dodging a bullet, but really you were loading the gun.
Exactly. And so like just to get back at people, like most of the people were actually like surprisingly like chill about it. But then like there were dicks, so I was like, fuck you, I'm gonna rule the school. And so like I was like an ASB president.
Take it over.
I was thespian president, so theater.
Witchcraft.
And then I was also the head cantor for all the masses.
How many hairs did you use for that? I'm just kidding.
No. No, I mean like there's if I were inclined, there are no, I mean like I'm a hairstylist now, so like I can use as much hair as I want. I don't without their permission.
Oh my god, I just thought of, I was like, Marie Laveau.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, honestly.
That just clicked.
It makes so much sense, like Marie Laveau and like even modern day.
And all
like,
of her clientele were all like super powerful people.
Yeah.
And she had all the hair. Y'all, oh my god, everything.
So much hair.
That makes so much sense. Oh my god, Queen of Voodoo.
Yeah, but like there are certain like traditional witchcraft spells that like require Catholicism and require Christianity. It's like you need like a blessed host for this, or like you need sanctified wine from the mass that has been like. So like I'm picturing like all these like women and like cunning men going into the churches and like trying to palm the host, and then like taking their sip of wine and then just like not swallowing and like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, and like spit it out into a thing so they can use it later, because like you aren't gonna.
Oh my god. Do you see how like crafty he is?
Well, no, because like you.
I'm not saying it's in a bad. Like
no,
I love.
but like
he's just like, if you need something done, fucking Carlos is over here just like, boo, I got you.
Well, because like I just think about it. There are all these, books are such a big deal to people. you know, witchcraft books, and oh well, my historical grimoire is from 1531, and oh, I actually use the hammer of the witches, which is used to hunt witches to figure out my aesthetic.
I love that all of these people for some reason sound like old Englishmen, like on their pipe. They're just like, mine is actually from the 1500s.
Yeah, exactly. You read these historical things, and sometimes you're like, what the, like, how the fuck would you do this? Because like now. We're witches.
Right.
We're out and about.
But what I wanted to touch on though was that is why warlock is yeah. So warlock, you can use the word however you like, but the meaning of the word warlock is it's not male witch. Because witch is gender neutral and warlock is traitor.
Yeah, I actually, so someone asked me this and I'm pulling it up real quick because I had to answer a question and I actually got into like the Old English, the Old Welsh.
Right.
Warlock, it comes from the Old English wirloga, which can be translated to traitor, scoundrel, monster, and it was also sometimes used to refer to the devil. Mm-hmm. It also comes from were, it's W, the and the E are attached and there's a line over it, R. That is a word for covenant. Traitor, scoundrel, covenant, it was oathbreaker. Someone who, like, to be warlocked would be, you did something against the coven. You know, if you were on trial or whatever, you were like, oh yeah, she's a witch, this is what we do. See that person over there? They're a witch too. Or like giving away like actual secrets and all that. You'd be warlocked because you broke the oath to keep things sacred and all of that. So warlock's gender neutral.
Right, and like I see a lot of men telling me that they want to be warlocks.
I mean that
like I understand what you're saying is like a witch is associated with the feminine.
Yeah.
Even though it's gender neutral. Mm-hmm. But again, use the word how you like if you feel more comfortable with that. Yeah. But I mean that's just the definition of it.
You know, my whole thing is do whatever you want, just don't be dumb about it. Acknowledge the past and the history. Like if you're comfortable doing that, then you do you.
Yeah.
That's completely fine.
Yeah.
But you know, it's also for protection for yourself because people are jerks.
Especially on the internet.
Yeah,
it just goes to say of like, you know, read your books, do your research, and I mean like know your stuff. Shut up. What are we talking about? Herbs. Because that was the original.
Okay, so I take responsibility because I skipped out on what type of witchcraft I do, or that whole thing.
Right.
I work with plants. I work with a lot of plants, and I consider myself a traditional witch, not in the way that like people are like, oh, English traditional witchcraft or anything. No, like my crafting experience and all that stuff that I base everything in or on is off of traditions, whether that's traditions in my family, in my area, in my culture, especially area because I work with plants so much.
It just makes sense.
It just makes sense going off like
what's around you.
Yeah, what's around you, and people have like, okay, like correspondence charts and all that. Calla lilies may mean peace and whatever to you, but in another culture, they may be like a very powerful symbol of death. One thing that I have started doing on, because I know you've shown your grimoire, so I got a scrapbook, and it's a post-bound scrapbook, so it doesn't have like the rings. It like has this weird little binding sort of thing, but you can add extenders and make it as big or as small as you want. So the idea is, it's at its base size right now.
Is it like it looks like nails almost?
Yes.
Okay, I know exactly.
But the nails for this
they
one,
like screw.
Yes, they're on the inside. So it looks like an actual book. Right. I got it real paper size because I have my stuff in so many things. Like I have,
look at this. Look.
So, this is my travel witch kit. I made it for me, by me. Everything in it is multi-purpose. Witchcraft is a tool of need. And when I'm at home, I usually don't really need anything except for sleep. And so like, so I have my travel witch kit, which is, it was an old shoe shine box. And so like I took off the weird awkward foot thingy and I put in these, and like I can even undo the handle, and I have 12 yards of burlap twine that I can do whatever I need. But so because
I love this so much. It fits. I'm gonna cry. Like I'm gonna straight up like I love it.
So I have enough stuff in here to do at least more than a half-ass job of any spell that I need to. And so like this is like my travel grimoire. I'll put
your
like
actual handwriting.
Okay, so
or
this
are you like thinking about this when you write?
Okay, so this is my witchcraft writing because one, at first glance, no one can read it.
Right.
So like if there was a nosy Nancy or something, I have like a 30-second chance of being like, they're like, what is this a different language? Or you can be like, nope, thank you, okay. So this was just some field notes and a picture and writing and description about poison oak, which is, I'll read it out loud as well.
So cool.
But poison oak is actually a big part of my craft. Because I do work with a lot of poisonous plants. But I work with the poisonous plants that are around here because in a weird way, they're closer to people than regular. Because there's potential on either way, and that's really what witchcraft is. It's seeing what potential is and tipping it the way that you want it. And so like poisonous plants, yeah, they can be poisonous and naughty, and poison oak evolved specifically against us. All the animals can eat it.
Really?
Yeah. Birds eat the seeds.
Interesting.
Yeah, the seeds are actually, they're like berries, really.
I love that you're just
Okay, but like honestly, because I said like it's a very important part of my craft, and I also am weird because I don't have an allergy. I'm one of those weird and rare people that doesn't have a natural allergy to the urushiol oil that's in poison oak, poison ivy, it's even in mangoes. So like if you eat sliced mango and your throat gets itchy, someone watching has eaten sliced mango.
I was like, I love mangoes. I can fuck with mangoes all day.
Right? They're so good.
They're so good.
They have the same oil that poison oak does, but it's in the skin. And so sometimes if you're sensitive, if you cut the mango, instead of peeling off the skin, you're pushing the oil into it, and so you might get like a slight tickle. It's not as dramatic as poison oak and all that.
But that's still really interesting.
Yeah,
like,
for me, I just kind of found a kinship with the plants that grow wild around my area because they've been growing wild for generations. And it's a way for me to connect to the land through the ancestral spirits. I mean, these are the same plants that were growing when my city first became a city. And what I meant with poisonous plants specifically being closer to people and connecting to ancestors is because they're poisonous, they're dangerous, so people don't want to cultivate them. So like roses, yes, love them, smell delicious, super pretty. The roses that you get today are not the same roses that your ancestors saw because people have cultivated them and moved.
Bye, Nikki.
I kind of like sneak out so quiet.
No, it's okay. We're like, you're ruining our aesthetic.
Okay, guys.
See you later.
Bye. So like the roses that you get today are not the roses that your great grandmother had because they've been like people specifically breed them.
Please do not ingest the roses that you buy. There's just like I've seen so much of this. Please do not do that. Don't do it.
Just in general, as someone who is familiar with the dangers of plants, because I do a lot of wildcrafting, so like I have very specific guidelines for myself. Even the edible plants, what is actually edible, what is okay for topical application, what is okay to burn, and that's having already done the work of, is it edible? Does it interact with anything? If it burns, is it going to release a chemical like you?
Treat everything
as poisonous.
As poisonous.
Honestly, you are going to be, It's so weird when you think about it.
When you see those plants that you've learned what they can do in people's front yards, that people, like kids are like slapping the angel's trumpet, and you're like, please don't get any of that in your mouth. Like, they're just like, look, and you're like, you're gonna have some crazy trip. Like, no.
I mean, like, I love angel's trumpet, and I actually,
so pretty.
They are. I actually stole. Okay, I did steal.
What?
I'm a witch. Nature gifted me something. Well, I was having a very emotional day, needed to connect to myself and to nature, and I went to this arboretum, and I have like a connection to trumpety plants. So Datura is my jam, and that's called devil's trumpet, because they look like the same flower, but it grows up from the ground. So it's like, whereas angel's trumpet is.
Okay, there you go. There's a visual.
There's a visual, and that's why. So I have this connection to him. Super emotional. There'd been a huge storm, and it had blown off a bunch of branches from an angel's trumpet tree.
That was a gift. That wasn't. You didn't.
No.
Steal.
Yeah, it was a free thing.
The universe wanted you to have it.
Yeah, because I had been considering.
Justify this.
I had been considering taking from there's a 7-Eleven parking lot, and I'm like, you have no business having an angel's trumpet. I should take a branch, because like it makes me so sad when I see like plants and trees where I'm like, I want that. I should take it.
And then, like,
I know it's on some, and then like a month later they've hacked it down, and I'm like, I could have used all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Or
what?
like it's growing. There's this. I don't like the smell of lavender, but I like using it in some of my spell work.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why. So we were taking a walk, and there's this giant lavender plant, like completely fully overgrown onto the sidewalk, like looming over, just like in people's way. We walked past it, and I was kind of like, and then we walked past it again. And I was like, Alex, wait. And he was like, oh my God. And I like pulled out my knife, and he was like, Lydia. And I was just like, you know what? They're not paying anybody else to do it. I'm doing this for free. I am cleaning this up. It is a public service. Just like bunches of it.
Yeah.
And there's still some of it hanging on my wall in my kitchen.
Honestly, good. Okay, yeah, so I'll bring it
Oh,
out.
yes, bag of treats.
Okay, so this is my Wildcrafting bag. Really, I just move stuff into a random canvas bag whenever I need it. This is actually the one that I usually take to work. So like, I made a plant press, and this is...
Do you see why I love Carlo?
Okay, so I'm one of those people where I'm like, oh, that's really pretty. Oh, it's expensive.
I'm gonna make that myself.
Okay, like I would love it, but I would have to change how I did something. So I'm just gonna make it the way I wanted the first time.
Exactly.
So I wanted something smaller instead of like a huge thing with wing bolts that I would like have to have like its own carrying case. And so I made this, and I wood burned. It's an anonymous witch's proverb. I'm full of them, but they're like old as hell. Both blessing and bane may grow on one stalk. And I love it because it resonates just like across so much. Yes. It's a witch's proverb. Yes, it's like very tongue-in-cheek because I have it on a plant press, and it's literally talking about like plants.
Yeah.
But it's saying like,
you can't have good without bad and bad without good.
Yeah, and just because something's good doesn't mean it can't become bad. It's all in the way you use it. Same with magic, you know. People will, it comes down to the motivations, and it's, what's that quote?
I'm smiling like a dumbass because I literally say this in almost all of my videos.
Okay.
I'm just like, you see? Do you understand?
Yes.
Like, you got a hammer, you either build a house or you hit somebody over the head with it.
Yeah. So I just love that quote. And so what I have started doing, because it's springtime, I've been doing it on and off for a while. Like, I go out in nature and I collect stuff, and I have a bunch of dried stuff at home and with me that I've collected myself. One, I know where it came from. Two, I was actually able to communicate with the plant to see what I was feeling, to like do that whole thing. And
I know I'm gonna get questions on that later.
About what?
About communicating with the plants.
Okay, I'll give you just a quick little taste.
Okay, I was like, I know that there's gonna be a comment of like, how do you do this?
It's spirit work. I don't know if you've covered like the clair senses.
Nope.
Okay, you'll hear that people are, they're an empath. So that's the shortened term for clair empathy. So they feel emotions from outside sources that aren't their own, and usually it's from other people. Clairaudience, where you hear things. They're just different forms of psychic awareness. So whatever way works best for you for communicating and getting information, whether it's like a flash in your head of an emotion, or you start tasting, you start tasting hot sauce, and it's the same hot sauce that you grew up every summer, and you associate summer as a kid eating that hot sauce as being like super happy. So you're like, oh, someone's feeling like really happy right now, like they're feeling of nostalgia. It sounds super interesting and super confusing, but if someone were to follow me, it's super boring and super weird. The other day I was driving home, and there's a nature preserve, but it's blocked off because nature's not going to listen to a fence or whatever. It's going to keep doing its thing. I know the plants that are in that area, and I pulled off the road. I went up this trail because I was like, okay, we've had like a shit ton of rain. It's dried off now. I know there's things growing that I can use and that I need because I know the plants that are growing in my area. I took my plant press, I took my bag, I'm in slacks and a button down, and I'm hiking up this trail in my boots, and I've got my little Wildcraft kit, which is, safety first, keep it wrapped. I have my little shears for cutting woody plants, and this is my other one, which is actually very scary looking. Then like I'll have like empty vials and bottles and just like random shit.
What did I tell you? He's the real deal. He keeps this in his
car. This is my car. I went hiking. So this herbal grimoire I keep mentioning, it's really just a scrapbook that has plants in it. So the idea being, if I'm ever I really want to just be so fucking aesthetic that I have this like huge leather bound tome that has the actual ingredients in it.
Oh, like taped or something in like this beautiful little envelope that like.
So yeah, I already did one as an example on my blog. I posted about it on Wednesday. I was like, making an herbal grimoire. And really what it is of course you're going to use plants that you don't actually have. You're going to use herbs that, like, no one can grow f***ing cinnamon. It's a tropical plant. It's not going to grow in my area. As much as I would love to grow belladonna, I can't. Because there are a lot of plants that just, no matter how much you want to use them, to grow them, to like talk to them, whatever, they're their own thing. Yeah. And unless you have a greenhouse or like you put in a lot of work, again, witchcraft is a tool of need.
Right.
I don't have time to buy ceremonial robes in every color and to like build a greenhouse to grow my belladonna. So instead I focus on plants that are in my area, the families that they're in, because you'll find there are a lot of weeds and plants that are growing around. You're like, I have no idea what that is.
But then, when you realize what they are, all of a sudden you just, like, you see, like, the world is just, you're like, it's so big, and, like, you have so much just, like, at your hand.
I had a moment, and I told Olivia, okay, so one of the reasons why this hangout happened is because Olivia was mentioning about wanting succulents and doing anything necessary to get them, and I was like, whoa, calm down, girl.
But
I got you. So like, I brought her a bunch. I've got a beautiful garden at home. Surprise.
What?
With a ton of succulents that I had to grow because the drought here in California made me very sad for a very long time and destroyed all my pretty witchy shit. But what you were talking about, like, you see things around and you don't even know. So this is a plant that I have been using in my personal correspondence for fresh beginnings, change, all of that, and I know it as Cuban oregano. It's...
Focus.
I'm trying, Olivia.
Not you.
I'm trying not to get distracted.
It's just like doesn't like this plant. Well, there's a blurry version of it.
There's a blurry version of it. But there are like certain witchy herbs that people hear about. It's like, oh yes, so magical, but you've never seen the actual plant.
Yes.
And for me, I've never worked with Dittany of Crete. It's a super famous witchy plant, whatever. They mentioned in Harry Potter, like, oh, essence of Dittany. And I think that's actually what they use when Ron splinches his shoulder and it heals him. And it gives him a fresh beginning on his skin and health, the way I've been using it. And then it turns out that Cuban oregano is an ancestor, cousin, friend, whatever, of Dittany of Crete. They're from the same area, but they traveled around, blah, blah, blah. They made it to the United States. They've evolved subtly differently. So it looks different, but similar, and they smell the same, but different. They take pretty much this plant that I've been using and that I've seen around, I just realized like 2 days ago that this plant that I hear about and I've only seen dry is like the brother of is the brother of like this other witchy plant. Foraging guides are so I just love foraging guides. Don't tell me to calm down.
I'm sorry, I love foraging guides too. So a lot of you ask what good books are for beginner witchers.
Oh, y'all witchers. I feel ya.
But yes, like the actual, because we were talking about earlier that the actual amount of witchy books that are off of Witchcraft itself is so minimal that we would recommend, just because we don't think that there's like one that is like covers all, because it's everything you need to take with a grain of salt. But then also so much of Witchcraft is not.
It's so individual.
Witchcraft, yeah, it's so field guides.
Yeah, well, like Witchcraft books, let's be honest, they can get a little incestuous just because like it ends up recycling the same information. And like Scott Cunningham's Herbal whatever, I don't have a copy, haven't been interested. Scott Cunningham is, I'm sure, a fantastic person if he's alive, I don't even know. I'm that far out of the pagan books loop. The books that I end up using are, you know, scientific books, folklore, foraging guides, because my craft is based on my experience, not Scott Cunningham's.
Right. Well, and like, if you're interested in reading them, read them.
Yeah.
But just because you read something in one book does not mean that that is the truth.
Totally. Get your witchy books, get them on. It's super refreshing to have something where it's like, oh, they aren't just alluding to something, like they're just straight up saying like, hey, this is to do this and that, and this is magic. And that's super refreshing, but it's also
really hard to come by.
Yeah. It is okay to be your own flavor of witch. If you base your craft off of one book, you're not letting yourself decide your flavor.
Right.
You're just saying that you are a Scott Cunningham herbal tasting witch.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just acknowledging like that's a choice that you're making.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people will ask me, you know, do you have any books that are not Wiccan based or not, you know, like they're secular?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we talked about with Danielle, she loves alchemy books and physics and mythology and lore and field guides. Those are real life things that you have at hand that will hugely impact your craft. And that also you're learning a bunch, which is basically what the craft is about.
Yeah. And honestly, like when you get down to it, like it's occultism, and occultism is secret knowledge. So it's kind of like a little secret. You kind of feel good about it when you read something and you're like, oh no, I see how this applies to witchcraft.
Right.
I see how this applies to me in my situation.
Well, and then like we said, you know, you start looking around and realizing that all these plants that are literally in your backyard, front yard, whatever.
Yeah.
That on your walks, you know, you'll be walking on the sidewalk and you all of a sudden realize that nature is right there and always been there.
Yeah.
Never went away. And now you're seeing it and interacting with it, and it's just
it's a gift, and it's the way that you choose to use it. And it's just because it worked for someone else doesn't mean it's for you. Like we said, it's expensive.
Yes.
If you're just going off of all these like pre-existing correspondences, that's fine. As
It gives
long
you a
as
place to start.
It gives you a place to start,
Yeah.
but you're allowed to like come up with your own stuff. And when you're looking at the actual plants that are around you and you're doing your foraging, you're actually seeing what plants are native to your area, what plants were there before you. And you can, one of my favorite things is Googling insert plant folklore.
Yes. Oh my god. If you want something to write about in your grimoire,
And
that will keep you busy for the rest of your life.
that's what I'm doing with my herbal grimoire. So I collect a bunch of stuff, I've been using it, whatever, and I dry it. What I've started doing is I made this plant press so I could have specimens that are pressed that I can put in the grimoire. Then I've got, so I just did one for lupine. I have my own personal associations, but I'm gonna do some research. So it's called lupine. It was named in Rome and after lupus, wolf.
Right.
And they thought that the plant was devouring all the nutrients of the soil.
Interesting. Okay.
And then like there's like a little bit of weird sympathetic magic because they would have their livestock, like cattle, sheep, whatever, goats, eat all of that as a sympathetic form of, well, here's the livestock devouring the wolf.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See how this is a plant, yeah.
This is a
Like-
plant that grows off the side of the freeway. Yeah.
And it has so much substance behind it.
And
like,
history. And like
this is my tea, is
yeah.
what it is.
And like you can look up like spells and all that. Anytime that I need inspiration, Judica Isles, 5,000 Spells.
I need to get that book. I don't have that book, but I have flipped through it 1,000, 5,000 times.
Okay, one of my favorite things, because I'm a witch on the go, is having the online version. Because when you open it in the Kindle app or your iBooks, whatever, you can use the search button and type in
You're right.
lupine, and I found 2 spells that
Just right there.
just right there, and I was like, oh, cool. So like, here are 2 historical examples of spells based around this whatever. I'm gonna use it my way still, but this is a jumping off point.
Just a little tidbit. There are spells in there on how to turn into a werewolf, and one of those, I love this spell so much. One of them is to, under a full moon,
Of course.
remove your clothes.
Yes.
Urinate on your clothes.
Okay.
Walk clockwise formation, and then allow yourself to turn into the wolf.
Like, that's the thing, like, you're allowed to realize how awkward and ridiculous things are, but it's also like, when you start looking at folklore and the plants and like the area of like, why was this a thing? Why was this a thing? So clockwise, following the path of the moon and the sun. Transformation, especially under full moon, it's the opposite. You know, the moon doesn't have any light itself, so things are already topsy-turvy because the whole sky is lit up by something that isn't actually luminescent. So that's changing a transformation. Urination on your clothes, okay, so that's rejecting your humanity in that point, becoming animalistic. It's like, I get that. You aren't gonna actually transform into like a physical Hollywood werewolf.
Right.
But there is spirit flight, you know, that's a huge tradition in a lot of cultures, and even in my practice. I'm not gonna do the video on that, but but like they say it in like the Crucible. Oh, it was goody whatever. She sent her spirit on me, and it's sending your spirit. So like your body's still doing your body thing, you know, that's not gonna change. But your spirit's doing what it's so weird to talk about out loud.
It is. It's really, it gets weird, but it's just like, you're allowed, you don't have to take everything seriously. That's why I say take things with a grain of salt. Like, you are allowed to believe, like
take it with salt. Witches love salt.
Yeah. And like,
witches are salty. We're so salty.
The real witches of LA.
Hashtag truth. Hashtag my truth.
Instead of spilling wine on people, we spill salt on people. We're
like,
cleanse yourself.
It's quartz, baby.
Yeah, what's that meme where like this lady is holding this rock this big and she's like, this my banishing rock. No, you don't. Oh no.
It's in here somewhere.
You have a banishing rock?
I have a banishing necklace.
That?
So, yeah.
Get the
the way it works. It is For size
Counterclockwise.
Yeah, counterclockwise.
Oh my god.
And this is
My face.
my hand for comparison.
Yeah.
By her face.
Yeah.
So like you wear this, and then when there's negativity, you take it off, and you just like
whack the
whip it
hell.
around until there's no more negativity.
Get the out of here.
That's my crystal magic.
Yeah. Whatever works.
Yeah.
I keep saying whatever works for you. Oh my god.
So okay,
Sorry.
but oh my gosh, we just get so excited when we're together because we have such similar views of stuff, but such different ways of doing things.
Right. So it's also like both of us love information, and the fact that we have similar perspectives on things, but have completely different knowledges on things. We're like, give me that. Here's that.
Yeah.
Give me that one. I want it. It's like.
And we just get on tangents. So,
Anyway.
Green Witchcraft.
Wow, that was impressive.
Thank you.
Just like looped back there. Okay.
Yes. Foraging guides are awesome because a lot of times you can get them for free. You can go to the library. The library is an awesome place.
And don't put your books back. I was like reading about that earlier. But that's a whole other thing. Just when you're done with them, put them in the little like return box.
Quick bullet points. Why libraries are awesome and why you don't reshelve your own books. The books that they actually shelve, they keep track of that, and that shows how many people are using books, which gives them more funding to actually buy more books. If you're constantly reshelving them, the way that the system and the government looks at it, it's like, well, no one actually touched that book.
Yeah.
So no one's interested in it. So why are we going to give you more money for witchcraft books? Because you can actually make requests to your library too. And sometimes you may feel awkward about it, so spin whatever you want on it. I got my library to get a copy of Plants of the Devil. Super witchy. I'm in a very Catholic area, but I talked to the librarian. I said, this is a book that does talk about historical witchcraft and folklore of different plants and the way that people have used them. And it's an awesome book.
Right.
But like really only witches are interested in it, but also not. Like there are a ton of people who could actually get something from it. It's super fascinating. And it's not like this plant summons the devil. It is and it isn't. It's talking about like how
demons.
It's like it's so fascinating and like ridiculous. It's like, parsley can only be grown by witches. Someone has parsley growing in their yard, they're working with the devil and you should burn them.
But also probably makes really good food.
Yeah, but then it's like this other thing where it's like, oh, parsley's a funerary herb, so it's bad luck to give someone parsley. You have to buy it, because if you give it, you're giving someone death. Yeah, and it's like, oh.
It's a parsley bitch.
It's like,
what?
It's so fascinating because those are both actual beliefs that people have had and do have, and they're from different areas. The funerary herb was a big Roman and Greek thing because parsley's pungent. But then when you get to the United States, parsley was a plant of the devil, and there's like such rich folklore when it comes to cultivating plants. Oh, there's a rhyme. Oh, what?
Busting out rhymes now.
No, I can't. It's one of those witchy proverbs.
Somebody drop a beat. Go. No, I'm kidding.
Boom, boom. It was one for the pigeon, one for the crow, one for yourself, and the devil you know.
I was gonna say one for the hoe.
Okay, but like Puritans.
Right, yeah. Right.
So when they said hoe, they're like, okay. They're like hoeing the land.
More sense.
They had that rhyme for a lot of different things, but it stuck with parsley for one because parsley takes a long time to grow from seed. So in some areas they thought like, okay, it takes so long because it's going down to hell and pledging itself 3 times before it comes up to God.
So it's the Satan plant.
Yeah. So the other thought to make it grow and for it to not curse everyone and for you to actually eat it is you would open up a Bible and put your seeds on there and blow it off the pages of the Bible, and that would sanctify it.
Huh.
So that's from like America right there. Funerary herb association with death is from, ancient Greece and Rome. That's just for parsley, which is, I mean, like,
yeah, there's
it sprouts.
So much. I think my first one that I ever looked up was Devil's Ivy. Was you know, pothos.
Pothos.
Yeah, because it's everywhere and one of the easiest things to take
Easiest
care of.
houseplants ever.
So easy.
And like if you have a pet and it like attacks it and breaks off a thing, you're like, oh, stick it in some water and then a month later and you've got a brand new plant.
And it's so super great. But one of the things that I read about it, what was really interesting, was that if you didn't see Devil's Ivy growing over somebody's grave, they weren't at rest in the spirit world. And I was just like, kind of sad, but also because it's like it grows like a mother, like it grows so fast and so well and just like so easily that I guess that makes sense because of like how it just like spreads out everywhere. But if it doesn't touch like a certain grave, they were like,
I think one of the things that's just so fascinating for me when it comes to plants and why I'm like, yeah, plants make sense for magic, is as you start learning about folklore, it's so weird and a trippy thing because as science progresses, science is not the enemy of witchcraft, of magic. Magic is stuff that science hasn't been able to explain yet. And once it becomes explained, then it's fact and it's science.
Do you like how this is like a corresponding thing through all of my witch people?
I'm not trying to like hammer in a point.
I just like, no, I like it though because it's kind of like there's 3 different people with completely different beliefs and practices. And I just love having those correlations of like what works for you, what doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, like science is not the enemy, and like what do you say? The mundane before the magic.
Oh, that's my catchphrase. What I wanted to say about folklore and plants in your area, it's super weird, it's super trippy. You start learning about it, science progresses. Someone decides to research that piece of folklore, that piece of magic, that folk practice that followed a tradition that's just, you know, you've been doing it, grandma did it, so that's why you do it. When science delves into that, it is the strangest thing when they match up. So, foxglove, Digitalis officinalis, one of my favorite plants ever. I've had a fascination with it since I was a kid. It's poisonous. Surprise! There was a tradition of when you were seeking love or you were recovering from heartbreak, you would pick a sprig of the foxglove flower, and if you were healing for love, you would put it on the inside of your lapel or the inside of your dress. If you were seeking love, you could wear it actually as like a boutonniere or whatever. And then that becomes obvious because everyone in the town knows that, oh, you wear foxglove when you're looking for love, and he's wearing foxglove, he's looking for love. Like, hey.
It was like back in the day Tinder.
Yeah, it was like plant Tinder. Instead of swiping right, it was like,
my favorite kind.
Oh, okay, I'm just gonna ignore that
you don't
foxglove.
see my foxglove.
Yeah. So it has this like association with the heart, you know, healing the heart. And then science develops medicine, folk beliefs, folk medicine. Digitalis is the name of a heart medication that is part of what saves a bunch of people's lives every year. It's because someone decided to dig into that. Like, you know, a lot of people associate like this with like healing, like what's in it? And then they find, like they used to treat epilepsy with it. But I just think it's super interesting that that's a thing now. And then like poisonous plants, blessing and bane may grow on one stalk. I love Datura, devil's trumpet.
Right. I feel like that's all you post about.
I know.
Not that it's a bad thing.
No,
like,
it's
every time I see it, I'm like, Carlos.
I have such an intense relationship with it, and because I've been working with Datura the closest for years now, and it's has a ton of different names. I've made Harry Potter references like 3 times. Devil's Snare is Datura.
I'm not the person to.
It's fine. It's for your people.
Yeah. He got you.
I got you. Devil's Snare is one of those names. Devil's Trumpet, Hell's Bells, Thorn Apple, Devil's Apple. It was called Jamestown Weed, which then got switched to Jimson Weed, which is what a lot of people in the South and like the West Coast know it as, especially Texas, like Jimson weed. So it was named Jamestown weed because it's hallucinogenic and poisonous and all this, and the colonists tried to poison the British with it at Jamestown when they tried to make them feed them. science-wise, it's got alkaloids in it, atropine and scopolamine, and those are fun little chemicals that you're gonna have to Google yourself. One is really dangerous if it's not mitigated. The other is dangerous as well, but your flying ointments are a thing, and I make them as part of my practice. One can transfer through the skin, and it's part of spirit work, all that, hag writing, blah, 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 blah. But with this deity that I worked with the plants. I know their folklore and all of that, and then this one piece comes in, and I find out that the way that I've been working with plants is the way that this deity was known and portrayed, to the point that the tattoos that I have had planned, the most famous statue of this deity has the plants and relations of them that I work with that are slightly, they're like brother species, they're slightly different because plants are weird. It's the creepiest thing, and like these tattoos that I wanted on me and on my thing, the statue has him depicted with those tattooed on him, on his like arms and legs, the place that I want them.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And then like, symbol is the moth.
Love.
His symbol's the moth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was super weird, and it wouldn't have been such a big deal if I hadn't looked at the plants that were growing in my area, you know. It's a weed to everyone else. Stinging nettle, super healthy and good for you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's podcasts also, by the way. It's a field guide podcast, actually, which is wonderful. Ta-da!
Stinging nettle.
And somebody was like, they were like, what do you do with your nettles? And they were like, we eat them.
Yeah.
What? And they were like, we
eat them.
Eat them. It's a great way to weed whack.
Yeah.
Dandelions.
Okay. Yes.
We do not have time for the dandelions.
I'll lay down the bullet points. Plants that have medical, actual, physical, scientific ways of working with your body, you can work with them magically that way too, without putting it in your body. Dandelion, the root can be used in herbalism to detoxify the liver and the gallbladder. The leaves itself are super duper chock full of vitamins A, C, D. They have E and trace amounts of magnesium as well.
He's like a little dictionary. Isn't he great? I fucking love it.
The flowers themselves, well, it just so happens that dandelion is the next one that I'm doing in my herbal grimoire.
I bought 5,000 seeds off of Amazon.
Oh my god!
And my mom texted me and goes, I get like 100. And she goes, but 5,000? And I was like, I need these. Like, I was like...
Yeah, I mean, I've got them pressed, or I'm pressing them right now.
Right.
So like I can have in the little grimoire, I can have a little packet of dandelion, like when I need it. Like Shakespearean and Victorian and old grimoires and all that, they had secret names for it. Urine was a name for dandelion.
That's an unfortunate one.
I know. Lion's tooth was another one, and that's referring specifically to the flowers. Priest cap, priest crown. If it says fairy clocks, it's talking about the puff version of dandelion, because they're actually like nature's barometer. They are very predictable. When they're all puffy and out and all that, it means that they are dry. You'll actually see them kind of umbrella close in on themselves when the barometric pressure drops and it's going to rain, because they want to make sure that the seeds are not disturbed until it is dry, so they can spread out as far as possible. Yeah, so that's why they're called fairy clocks. And that's specifically about the puff.
This is our earth!
Yeah, this is our earth! And like, you can make wine out of it, and there's connections to Hecate and death with it, and like with the roots and going down to the earth.
And the fact that it's not even native, but
Yeah.
also like the fact that people literally are like, ew, dandelion's weed, and I'm like, my children, don't touch them.
Okay, well, not just that, like I've been juicing every morning, and like we've been doing dandelion greens, and it's like I am feeling so good.
Really?
Yeah.
So, but this doesn't mean that you should just run around and grab some dandelion roots.
No.
Like,
Okay.
please don't do that.
This is my little mini disclaimer, because I mentioned earlier that I get plants from the wild and from nature, but there are only specific types, even of the edible ones, that I will eat. Like we'll use cars for instance. If it is within eyesight of a road, like a paved road, that means that every time that it rains, whatever is being released by the cars is raining down. That's why it's so clear after it rains, because all that stuff that was in the air gets put down into the soil. And plants are really good at absorbing and detoxifying, but where does that go? It goes into the plant. And so like if you're gonna be eating something, you're better off growing it yourself. Not just that, but like if it's not a forest, if it's like a landscape park, people use weed killer, they use so much stuff that is gonna like wreck you. Same thing with the flowers at the shops, you know, those beautiful bouquets. Don't put them in the baths because they get sprayed with a bunch of stuff to make them look pretty. And like if you have even like a wink of sensitive skin or sensitive system to anything, you could have a really bad reaction. One of the things that I have enjoyed about working with plants and poisonous plants is it puts a new perspective because you think outside of yourself and there's a lot more caution. Because like with plants versus animals and whatever, if you see a strange animal, you're gonna be cautious. You're gonna be like, it looks cute, I want to pet it, you know, internet meme culture, you know, bears, high five, so cute. But like if you see one in real life, you're like, this could kill me instantaneously. I'm going to be cautious until I know what's happening. That doesn't happen with plants because plants don't move. So like kids will like eat stuff, you'll touch stuff, and like it could be poisonous or it could not be. And there's just this disconnect that people don't realize that both blessing and bane may grow on one stalk.
Yeah, we are running out of time, unfortunately, on my little thingy. But the last thing I would really like to cover with you are what I'm getting a lot of questions of, like, what do you think the best herbs are to start out with as a beginner? My my opinion is anything in your kitchen or read field guides. I feel like those two things helped me substantially.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I meant.
Muchstaciously.
Yeah.
Mucho and...
Muchstaciously.
Magical Mr. Mustafasli. Yeah.
I'm not going to say that either.
I definitely agree with that. Sir. Of course, whatever's in your kitchen. If you're wanting to work with plants, it's easiest, especially if you're a broom closet or just beginning. Because witchcraft can be expensive and it can be awkward talking about it. So the herbs and the spices that you already have in your cabinet, one, you probably like the way they taste. Two, you bought them from a place where they're edible, so like it's not necessarily strictly for witchcraft.
Right.
You know, like I have a ridiculous amount of pink peppercorns because they're delicious and because it's a pepper and I use it in specific ways. And field guides, not even just foraging guides. You know, foraging's great if you want to like eat the stuff, but field guides in general, you know, you can go to the library, usually they'll have something about plants that are native to your area. You can go to the city and talk to the arborists because they will talk about...
They will love you!
Every city that has any sort of landscape has an arborist and they are familiar with the plants, the diseases that happen to the plants, what does well in your area based on your climate. So they're an awesome person to talk to if you don't want to do that. Google is fantastic. I live for it because I don't have time to carry all of my encyclopedias around.
Yes,
and the other thing with like field guides is if you can't find one for your area, look up your climate zone. Look up your climate biome, like chaparral, desert, high desert, mountain, forest, marsh, swamp. Because a lot of the plants that grow in one area like that will like to grow in the other. And so like, you can find a way to use the stuff that's already growing in your area to make magic.
Yeah.
And like while I'm growing a bunch of witchy shit on purpose,
you might be having things on accident.
Yeah, like there's so much stuff around. Like all of this random stuff, I'm gonna rapid fire. I didn't plant a single thing, I just collected it. Wild nettle, or stinging nettle, right here. Olivia's gonna enjoy this more than you guys.
I know. I'm
trying to balance. This is rocket, which is in the dandelion family, but it's slightly different. It's like a mix between dandelion and mustard. And then there is wild fennel, which grows here.
Yes.
This is California sagebrush, which I love. I love this.
Is this the cowboy cologne?
Yes.
It smells so good.
And fun fact, it is called Artemisia californicus. It is in the same family as mugwort and wormwood.
Oh.
Which also gives you an idea of like what you could use it for if you're familiar with the other ones.
So we're definitely, really quick.
Yes.
We're gonna have to go on a hike and I'll take my camera and then we
so
can
down.
We're gonna do that.
Yes.
But we're almost out of time.
Yes.
I can see it. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
This was so much fun.
It was. I'm so glad that we actually got to do this.
Me
This was just going to be a
too.
hangout, and
I know.
we did, and we hung out, and we
Yeah.
did stuff, but it was also so much fun talking about all this.
Yeah, I agree. We also got, I have to just show you these. Look at these. Look at these candles. I love them so much.
I got some candles. I lost the other one.
Oh no,
It's
well,
gone.
it's okay, it's the same one,
It's
right?
an offering candle now.
Yeah,
We got candles.
But, yeah, so anyway, I really hope that this was informational. I know that it was. Don't you dare tell me that it wasn't because, like,
I'm so sorry that I go on a rant and a ramble.
I would rather have you give out more information than not enough.
But I'm always so scared that, like, I started to give a bunch of information and then I got distracted.
Me
I figured,
too.
what? Ugh.
And the problem is both of us do that. But, so yeah, I'm leaving everything in the description, and hopefully there will be more Carlos soon because all my Coven mates are, I love them.
Okay, so maybe next time you'll drive my way.
Yes.
Because I'm familiar with the plants and I know all the good places. Yeah.
That's it. Anyway, thanks you guys so much for watching. Be kind to each other. Best of luck, and
have a good night.
yeah, see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye. That's it. And it just turned red. We did good.